welcome to the Hungaroring. We are here in Budapest in Hungary for the very first time since 26 years. Finally, the DTM is racing here again, and it's the third race weekend of the season. And whether the youngsters are showing the 7 DTM champs how it's done, you'll see now. Enjoy the highlights.
Thank you, Verena. The DTM returning to Hungary after a 26-year absence when the series visited the Hungaroring on the outskirts of Budapest, the imposing metropolis on the River Danube. However, many of the drivers are familiar with the track from other series. Timo Glock here, for example, he finished second in the Formula One Grand Prix at the Hungaroring in his debut season. Some of the BMW drivers took for a high-speed ride on the Danube. Seem to be enjoying that very much. Now, the reigning DTM champion, Mike Rockenfeller, who currently leads the 2014 standings, well, he will face a stern challenge to his supremacy from in-form rivals, including fellow Audi drivers such as Adrian Tombe. Eduardo Mortara bounced back into contention with third place in Oschersleben and is keen to follow that up with another good result. And Miguel Molina is finally looking to make the breakthrough in Budapest. But BMW has strong contenders of its own, including rookies Antonio Felix da Costa and Maxime Martin. And nor should we forget Marco Wittmann, winner of the season opener in Hockenheim. Elsewhere, the situation remains bleak for Mercedes-Benz, despite the presence of big names such as Gary Paffett and Paul di Resta. Mercedes did win the last race in Oschersleben, but their cars are currently not competitive. Christian Vittoris provided that ray of hope last time out, and he's going to take us on a high-speed lap of the Hungaroring.
Hi, I'm Christian Vittoris. I'm driver for Mercedes-Benz in DTM, and I'll now take you around the lap in Budapest. So it's the first lap in Budapest. We are now on the main straight, which will be probably the best part for overtaking. We're just exiting the first corner, up to fifth gear. We're now going into the left-hand corner, which is the second gear corner. It's pretty much down the hill, so it's very important to get the apex right, carry the speed. That's a right-hander, which should be easy flat under normal conditions. It now goes up the hill into a very fast left-hander, and back in the right-hander. Now we're coming to the slowest part on this track, which is the chicane. Second gear, get the apex right, and now it's into the combination left and right, and the next one will be left as well. It's very important to get the apex right, to not make any mistakes. Carry the speed into the right-hander here, which is a very fast one. And yeah, now we're going into the last sector, which starts with a very slow right-hand corner. And only 2 corners left. We now can see the paddock up there. This one is the pit entry, which we use for a good lap time. Last corner, carry the minimum speed, it's very important here, and then of course go early on full throttle again. And that's it. There was 1 lap in Budapest.
The Wittmann show goes on. In the third qualifying contest of the season, Marco Wittmann secures his second pole position. Here on the outskirts of Budapest, the BMW ace gives further evidence of his scintillating form. The man from Franconia in northern Bavaria will start the race from the best possible grid position.
I could go always a bit quicker every qualifying session. I had just this little moment in qualifying 2 where I went out of track limits. Yeah, of course it makes you a bit nervous because you know you have now only 1 more go with the second set, and if you do another mistake you are out in Q2. But at the end it worked well.
Timo Glock makes it a BMW lockout on the front row. Glock was quick and successful at the Hungaroring in his Formula One days and marks his return to Hungary in the DTM with the second fastest qualifying time. Well done, Timo Glock.
Great. I mean, it's it's good to be back in qualifying in the top three. I worked quite hard on myself in the past because I struggled last year quite a bit in qualifying. But now it was a good rhythm the whole day.
And here in Budapest, it's another fine qualifying performance by Miguel Molina. The young Spaniard will start from third behind the BMW duo.
Yeah, I'm quite happy. I think we did a good qualifying. Today the competitors were a bit quicker. But anyway, top three is a good chance for tomorrow in the race. We will try to fight for the victory.
The DTM returns to the Hungaroring after a 26-year absence, and the rookies were in sensational qualifying form. Maxime Martin and Antonio Felix da Costa claimed 4th and 5th places on the grid, with Audi newcomer Nico Müller starting the race from 8th. And success for the younger contingent meant an average to poor day for some of the more experienced names, such as Bruno Spengler, Matthias Ekström, and Timo Scheider, not involved in the final shootout. The same goes for Mike Rockenfeller, as the champion and championship leader will start the race from 13th place. For Mercedes-Benz, well, they were way off the pace here in Budapest, 5 of their drivers failing to survive the first segment of qualifying. That included Christian Vittoris. He was a shock winner at Oschersleben, but he will start the 3rd race of the season from the very back of the grid.
Well, we know that we're not fast enough under dry conditions, so that's why it was so important to take the points in Oschersleben. And we just need to work harder to get to the front.
Right, let's review the qualifying result in Budapest. BMW in fantastic shape at the Hungaroring with 5 cars in the top 6. Youngsters Adrian Tombe and Nico Müller are looking good for finishers in the points. Pascal Wehrlein is the best of the Mercedes-Benz drivers, but he's down in 16th place.
I'm now here with Mike Rockenfeller. You're starting in P13 today, and your colleague Timo Scheider is starting in P15. In other words, it doesn't seem to run really smoothly in your team. What is the problem exactly?
It's quite difficult to point out one thing, but what I can say is that we changed the setup philosophy, let's say. After the first 2 races coming here, we try to improve qualifying performance especially. I was pushing for that to go in a different way, different route. Somehow it didn't pay off that we made this big change to the car. So now we have to live with it. Today in the race we have to make the best out of it because we are not allowed to change it because of the rules from yesterday to today. And then I think we will change the car setup after this weekend. Going for Norrisring, I think we will go back to the other philosophy. So this is for me the problem. And Timo, I think he had the same car, same setup in the team. So at the end, you can see we are again close together, but unfortunately too far back.
Now you managed a 4th and a 2nd place this season, but the season is yet so young. What does that mean to you? I mean, it's the 3rd race weekend.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said last year, it's nice to be the leader of the championship, but I think today it will be hard to defend this lead. I think I will lose it pretty likely. So, but it doesn't mean the end of the world. We have 7 more races after this one. I try to take some points home from Budapest today. Even though I start on 13, I think maybe it's possible to come in the top 7 or something, which I think is a big achievement and important points. And then we have to look forward and to look ahead and make it better in the future. So therefore, championship is long. is a tough one. Also, I think for example, Wittmann, he's on pole, he has a good chance today. It can happen in the future that he's not on the front row, and then we have to be there, you know. So it's a long season, and yeah, it's DTM and that's life. I'm frustrated, but today I try my best.
Johnny Cecotto was the last man to win a DTM race at the Hungaroring. That was all of 26 years ago. So only a tiny fraction of the fans who flocked to the circuit today can possibly be in a position to remember that. The cast of characters, it's changed completely since then. Take, for example, Christian Vittoris. He was beaming from ear to ear after winning in Oschersleben, but qualifying in Budapest was little short of a disaster for the 25-year-old. He starts from last place, yet more evidence that this year's Mercedes is completely uncompetitive on a dry track. Gary Pavitt, DTM champion in 2005, bitterly disappointed with 21st on the grid. He's made no secret of his dismay at the car's dismal performance. No chance of matching the pace of the leading group. Disappointment, the main emotion for the experienced man. Paul de Resta fared little better in quali. The Scot finishing a commendable 4th in the Oschersleben rain, starting 19th on the grid. De Resta feels his car is at least slightly improved over last time. Martin Tomczyk has put 8 points on the board so far, but the 2011 champ is having a tough time of it in 2014. He's not won a race since switching to BMW, and that is unlikely to change today. 2 of his qualifying lap times were struck off, so Tomczyk starts from 18th in Budapest. Timo Scheider's most recent victory was even longer ago. The 08 and 09 champ has been waiting 3.5 years for a DTM race win. He used all his experience in Oschersleben to finish 7th and show he's still a contender, but his quali performance in Budapest unsatisfactory. Also, the word to describe Mike Rockenfeller's qualifying result. The championship leader made a few changes to the setup on his car compared to Oschersleben, but not necessarily to the benefit as he starts the race in Hungary from P13. Matthias Ekström, who came second in the opening race of the season, is not quite as far back on the grid in P11, but he too made no secret of his disappointment. You rarely win races from 11th place, the Swede said after quali. But on pole, this man fares a better chance. Marco Wittmann.
I'm here with Marco Wittmann, who's just being strapped into the car. Marco, at the moment, is second in the championship and in pole position. Obviously, the best position. I'm pretty sure that he is confident. Let me just ask him. Marco, at Oschersleben, you were also starting in pole position. Then a lot went wrong. How confident are you that today you might ace the race?
Well, I'm pretty confident. I think in Oschersleben we were a bit unlucky, but today I think weather stays dry and I think we have some more luck. So I'm really looking forward to the race.
All right, well, best of luck. Thank you very much, Marco.
Just as in Oschersleben, the man in front of Ekström, fellow Audi ace Jamie Green in 10th. The Brit is also waiting for his first race win since joining Audi, but it's by no means time to write him off yet. He showed in Oschersleben where he was at the head of the leading group for a number of laps, but ultimately retired and failed to score points due to a damaged rear end. 2012 champ Bruno Spengler determined to recapture past glories this season. However, unlucky when the rains descended on Oschersleben and threw his strategy into chaos, the Canadian will be less than pleased with starting from 9th in Budapest. By contrast, 8th on the grid rates as a fine result for the newcomer Nico Müller. He is the 3rd fastest of the Audis. The young Swiss hopeful must be aiming to finish in the points this time. Adrian Tombe finished 1st and 2nd in quali in the first 2 races of the season and keeps showing that he's got the speed. He just needs to find consistency on race day. The Frenchman starts from 7th in Budapest and is in reasonable shape for Sunday's race. Last year's championship runner-up Augusto Farfus starts 6th on the grid. 2014 has not gone quite according to plan for the ambitious Brazilian, although he showed something more like his true colours with a 5th place finish in Oschersleben. Antonio Felix da Costa starts alongside Farfus on the 3rd row. That's a 3rd excellent qualifying performance in a row from the young Portuguese recruit, although his fastest lap at the Hungaroring was struck off after he put all 4 wheels off the track. Da Costa is obviously quick, but must translate that into decent race results. Just like Da Costa, Maxime Martin is also new to the DTM. The Belgian excelled in quali and will start the race from P4, the first time he's truly caught the eye so far in the series. Now to the best of the Audi drivers, Miguel Molina is in 3rd. The Spaniard was disqualified for technical infringements in quali for both Hockenheim and Oschersleben, but he's now determined to prove he is worth a place in the leading group. He charged from 23rd to 6th in Oschersleben and has high hopes for today's race. Timo Glock was very successful in Budapest in his F1 days. The track is suiting him as he showed in quali with the second best time. His personal expectations for Sunday's race are high, so too those of the BMW boss.
Jens Marquardt, in Oschersleben it was rather disappointing, but here in Budapest the race weekend is looking really, really good. You've got 5 BMWs in the top 6. Are you looking forward to a victory?
Well, obviously we have the very good starting position now for the race, but we only know in 1 hour's time. As you say, a lot of things can happen. In Oschersleben it looked good for quite a long time as well, and then the rain came, and so today it doesn't look like the rain will come, or I pray for it, so we'll see.
Okay, and you must be really, really proud about your youngsters. I mean, you've got Wittmann, you've got Glock in the front row, and then in P4 you've also got Maxime Martin.
Yes, and Antonio is then in 6 as well. So yeah, I think we really have a good mix there. Obviously, the young guys were in a very good position yesterday in qualifying, but Timo balanced the whole thing. But 6 cars in, or actually 6 cars in total in the top 10 is a very good starting position. So we'll see.
A very pleased Jens Marquardt. And in pole position, the man who surely rates as the find of the season so far. Marco Wittmann starts from the best place on the grid for the second time in a row. There's a good chance of a top result for him and his team. Let's take another look at the starting grid, this time in animated form. And locking out the front row for BMW, it's Marco Wittmann and Timo Glock. On the next row of the grid, we see Miguel Molina and Maxime Martin. It's P5 for Antonio Felix da Costa with Augusto Farfus alongside. Adrian Tombe starts from P7 with Nico Muller P8. Bruno Spengler is P9 and the orange car of Jamie Green alongside him. Matthias Ekstrom P11, Eduardo Mortara is P12. The champion Mike Rockenfeller goes from P13 and P14 for the American racer Joey Hand. Timo Scheider P15 and Mercedes Pascal Wehrlein P16. Robert Wickens P17 with Martin Tomczyk alongside him. Paul de Resta with experience of this circuit and Danny Juncadella P19 and P20. Then it's Gary Paffett and Vitaly Petrov. Well, he has taken a win, but it could be a tall order here for Christian Vittoris, last on the grid. The last few seconds before the start, intense excitement grips all 3 constructors. None of them can draw on long years of experience at the circuit. And compared to last time out in Oschersleben, there appears to be only a tiny chance of rain. That's bad news for the Mercedes teams because a wet race looks like their only chance to stay on the pace at the moment. Lights out. And Marco Wittmann making a good start from pole, but Timo Glock a shade quicker off the line, and he's right with Wittmann. As we head down to turn 1, Antonio Felix da Costa already past Maxime Martin, and it looks like Bruno Spengler, who started from 9th, is going to go round Martin around the outside. Race order then after the start. Wittmann from Glock to Costa, Spengler, Martin and Molina as we head into turn 3 now. As the cars go through. Oh, and a little bit of contact there. We see Farfus and Scheider off, and a spinner. Christian Vittoris involved in that. Let's see it again in replay. So it looked like Vittoris ran into Joey Hand, and in turn Joey Hand runs into Gary Paffett. Seeing it from onboard Christian Vittoris now. And here they go down into turn 3. Yeah, Vittoris into Hand, Hand into Paffett. And that means a retirement for Gary Paffett on just lap 1 of the race.
You were shaking your head looking at your car. Was it just bad luck that Joey Hand knocked you out, or what happened?
It's not bad luck, it's just bad driving. I mean, he just drove straight into me. I've never seen so much damage on a car that's just been hit by another car. It's ridiculous, it's dangerous. So if he doesn't get a penalty, I don't see any point in having rules because it's stupid what he did.
Well, let's examine the start again in the replay here. Molina on the softer option tyres, but still loses places straight away, and Augusto Farfus sliding down the field as well. There they go all into turn 1. And there a lock-up from Augusto Farfus too. The start as on board now with Edo Mortara. He was P12 on the grid. And there, coming past, is Mike Rockenfeller. Now, Robert Wickens is among the men who did make a good getaway. Let's go on board with him. The Canadian starting from 17th, but immediately gets on a charge and races all the way up to 8th after 5 laps. Maxime Martin in 7th place, but he has put all 4 wheels off the track and therefore must take 2 seconds off his next lap time. This will play into the hands then of both Mike Rockefeller and Robert Wickens, and they will seize the opportunity to go past the Belgian. And the former champions are on the march. Bruno Spengler up to 8th on the 5th lap. He's being followed here by Paul de Resta, overtaken Timo Scheider, and he's battling now with Martin Tomczyk. Timo Scheider continues to be dogged by bad luck. The 35-year-old retires with suspension damage. What happened? When Paffett spun on the first lap, his rear spoiler bumped against the same component on Scheider's car and left it damaged. Scheider also hit up the rear at the start and ultimately parks it up with broken suspension. You can see there the team initially leapt up in the box ready for action, but it soon became clear their man was out of the race. Lap 12, and Miguel Molina is all over the back here of Antonio Felix da Costa. Both of them, of course, are on option tyres as they come off turn 14 now and head down to the right-hander, which is turn 1, which is the place to overtake in this race. Oh, a little bit of defence there from Da Costa, but ultimately he has to surrender that 3rd place to the Spaniard there in turn 1. So Antonio Felix da Costa then losing a place. After 13 laps, Marco Wittmann has opened up a 4-second lead over the 2nd-placed Timo Glock car. Molina looks comfortable in 3rd. Behind him, Eduardo Mortara gets set to overtake Antonio Felix da Costa here, in the same place as Molina 3 laps earlier. Mortara duly passes da Costa. The leading group then, as we approach the pit stops, comprises Wittmann, Glock, Molina, Mortara and da Costa, and Augusto Farfus one of the first men in, but this is no routine stop as the Brazilian clearly has got technical problems. His team is obviously not prepared for a tyre change. There's still considerably more than 50% of the race to go, so it'd be too early for a switch to option tyres, and the regulations would require a 2nd stop therefore after that. Both Timo Glock and Miguel Molina have yet to come into the pits. They're still on the soft tyres and battling hard here. Glock at the moment holds on, but Miguel Molina is all over and he's going to get right alongside the BMW now. So they're heading in towards turn 3 right now. This is exciting. Timo Glock has the right line, but he locks up. Timo Glock locks up, and that is enough for Miguel Molina to go through and take P2. Here we can see it again in replay. Little bit of a touch between them, and that lock-up from Timo Glock was just enough to give Miguel Molina the momentum, the charge to get the switch back and dive to the inside and go through and take the place. Good to see that in replay. All right, the first 4 are in simultaneously for fresh rubber. Now, the regulations require that they all switch to the harder compound tyre. There is Marco Wittmann. We have the clock on those stops. Wittmann is out. Glock comes in now. And there is Molina, so Molina retains that position. So as we were then, it is Wittmann, Molina, then it's Glock, and then it is Mortara. So into turn 1 they go then, following that mandatory pit stop. Bruno Spengler, he's coming into the pits now. He started on the harder compound, but will switch to the option tyres on lap 22, which means a sprint to the finish. Edo Mortara in 4th lines up to attack Timo Glock here. Oh, and there's contact. Let's take a look at that again in replay. Oh yeah, big contact there. And Mortara ordered to surrender the position that he's just won. You can see that Timo less than happy with that move. Bruno Spengler is extremely quick on the soft option tyres as he mounts a charge and challenge here on Paul de Resta. He will dive to the inside, and Paul de Resta knows it's utterly futile to try and defend, so now Spengler goes P10. Here it is in replay once again. And Bruno Spengler shows us exactly how it's done in turn 1. This is Mortara and Timo Glock part 2. Plenty of strong arm tactics there, as we can see in replay. Bosch! But deemed to be within the rules this time, although perhaps Timo Glock doesn't think so. So Marco Wittmann then, as we look at some dark clouds overhead. Marco Wittmann out on his own with a 5-second advantage over the second place Miguel Molina. Is there a chance of a rain shower? That would really please the Mercedes teams if no one else. Spengler is posting some superb lap times. We see him passing Martin Tomczyk to go 8th. Anyone on hard rubber is basically going to be powerless to resist the Canadian. After 33 laps, though, Augusto Farfus parks up in the garage. The Brazilian has been battling technical problems right from the start.
Here I am now with Augusto Farfus. Augusto, what a terrible race for you today. And I mean, you were just not lucky today. First you had the pit stop with no wheels, I don't know, with no tires, what went wrong there, and now the race is over for you. How do you feel?
Yeah, well, the pit stop actually was planned to be a retirement. And then just because we saw a chance of rain, we decided to continue, but I had brake problems since the first lap, so that's why I dropped last. And then actually I pit to retire, and then the team just realized it might rain, so let's give it a shot. So it was not a planned pit stop, so it was not a mistake from our side. It was just we decided to gamble because the car was just not possible to drive. The brakes were coming and going. We still don't know exactly what was the problem, so yeah, it's a shame.
Thank you, Verena. Good to hear from Augusto Farfus, although disappointed, of course, that he has retired the car. Edo Mortara then in 3rd. Timo Glock is 4th. Then it is Antonio Felix da Costa in 5th place. This man, well, Marco Wittmann, is supremely comfortable in the lead with a large gap back to Miguel Molina in P2. Wittmann now is just beginning to catch back-marking traffic. Just going through in picture there, you can see, and that is Christian Vitoris. So all of a sudden, in the mirrors of Christian Vitoris, it's going to be full of the Ice Watch BMW of Marco Wittmann. Now, of course, this could become a factor. However, pleasingly, at the moment, the track has remained dry, at least. Vitoris undoubtedly would wish for conditions that were more akin to Oschersleben. However, not going to get them, I don't think, as we are into turn 13, and it's quite uphill between turn 13 and 14 as we look at our race-leading Marco Wittmann car, and he on that drag up now towards turn 14 for the Ice Watch liveried driver, and he will cross the timing line to complete another lap in the lead here at the Hungaroring. What a great showing from Marco Wittmann we are seeing. Well, the fight between Timo Glock and Eduardo Mortara, that is now becoming something of a long-running affair. BMW Ace has been all over the back of the Italian for many laps, and neither of them afraid to use force when necessary, as we have already seen. And of course, just waiting there to pick up the pieces is Antonio Felix da Costa. If these two and their fight between themselves should descend into an opportunity for Antonio Felix da Costa to go past, then rest assured he is going to do that. Of course he is. Okay, into turn 3 now, and let's see if Glock uses some strong arm tactics to try and get past Edo Mortara here. Bosch, yes he does. Has he done enough? Mortara, though, well, he is best placed for the next corner, and Glock is denied once again. This is a fantastic battle for P3 and P4 between Edo Mortara and Timo Glock that we're watching. Let's go back on board again with Timo Glock. Just look at Mike Rockefeller in the at the back of the picture there. So there's Mortara, there is Glock. And now Mike Rockefeller is right on the back of this trio. And here we can see in replay just some more of the contact here between the yellow Deutsche Post car and that of Mortara's ahead. Fantastic shots that we're able to bring you. And there you can see race engineer not very, very happy with some of the tactics that are going on. Meantime, they continue. Glock gives it a footful, and Mike Rockefeller is right on the back of this pack now. He's running P6. Not close enough at the moment, I think, to make an attack on Antonio Felix da Costa. So they run down into turn 1. But lurking in the distance behind Mike Rockenfeller, it's going to be Bruno Spengler. Here he goes. Soft tyres, higher top speed, accelerates past Robert Wickens. Spengler up to P7 as he continues the game of catch-up. He has started after the pit stops. So there is Bruno Spengler in the BMW Bank car. And absolutely flying on those tyres. But is it going to be enough? In front of him, he's got the group of 4, Edo Mortara, Timo Glock, Antonio Felix da Costa and Mike Rockenfeller. Whatever happens, Rocky will be knocked off the top of the standings if Wittmann wins. Mortara has now pulled a couple of lengths clear of the group, and it's unclear whether Timo Glock has got the speed now to counter-attack. Certainly not as close as he has been in earlier stages during the course of the race, and thankfully we've seen a lot of those, both on board and from other cameras as well, as these two have got really physical during the course of the race. Timo Glock P4, then of course Antonio Felix da Costa is P5, and Mike Rockenfeller behind in P6. Then it is the fast-charging Bruno Spengler P7. So Spengler not quite on terms yet with Mike Rockenfeller as we watch Timo Glock cross the start-finish line now. There we see the Audi, there we see the BMW of Timo Glock. Nothing like as close as he's been on previous laps here. The scene of so much action between the two of them there. Through turn 3, the downhill section before turn 4. Here is our race leader, Marco Wittmann, then, who's getting past Christian Vittoris, the winner in Oschersleben. He is now being lapped. Marco Wittmann, 24 seconds ahead of third-placed Edo Mortara. Molina out on his own as well in P2. Just see him coming into picture there. Of course, he will be on Christian Vittoris very soon. Well, all eyes are on Bruno Spengler right now. He has caught up with the group, the only man among them on the option tyres, so we could be in for an utterly thrilling finish to this race here at the Hungaroring. So there you can see Spengler just right at the top of your picture now, beginning to reel in Mike Rockenfeller. Well, this will be fascinating to see as we watch through the turns here just how Spengler is able to use the superior adhesion that he's got from his rubber to reel in Mike Rockenfeller. Rocky, of course, the champion, knows, to be fair, that he will be utterly defenseless against Bruno Spengler. Is Spengler going to be close enough into turn 1? I'm not absolutely sure he is. Over the crest then. And no, a little bit too far back. And of course Spengler needs to get past as many as possible, as quickly as possible, and he'll be disappointed that he wasn't quite close enough to be able to put a move on Mike Rockenfeller there. But now he is all over the back of Mike Rockenfeller. So Rocky then under pressure from the BMW Bank driver, Bruno Spengler. P6 for Mike Rockenfeller. P7 for Bruno Spengler. And Spengler needs to dispose of that champ as quickly as possible. He's continuing to relentlessly pile the pressure on the reigning champion. And the Canadian is inching closer and closer. But he is being hampered, it would appear, at every turn. Overtaking here is not easy. And why should Mike Rockenfeller make it easy for him? Of course, Mike Rockenfeller is defending his position. And whilst Bruno Spengler is on the faster tyres, he's not going to make it easy for him. And the charge continues. Spengler absolutely fighting for the potential of a podium place. Well, as the laps tick by and the longer he's held up between this group, well, the harder it's going to become for him. Nonetheless, he maintains his position behind Mike Rockefeller as they round turn 14. Perhaps this will be an opportunity for him in turn 1 as Christian Vettori is forced to park up 4 laps from the end. He too hampered by damage to his Mercedes early in the race. And Bruno Spengler now surely will dive up the inside of Mike Rockefeller. Wow. King of the late breakers there. He really does leave it late. And now mounts his charge on Mike Rockefeller. They are side by side. And Bruno Spengler has done it around the outside. Brilliant move from Bruno Spengler, but he will argue that perhaps it took him just a little bit too long to do that. So there they all go through with Bruno Spengler now having passed Mike Rockefeller. He will try and make short work of those that are ahead of him, including Antonio Felix da Costa. Well, I do not imagine that he will have too much problems passing Antonio Felix da Costa, and there you can see around the outside where the superior performance from the option tyres for Bruno Spengler allowed him to make that move. And, well, Ernst Moser from Phoenix that we see on the pit perch there, I don't think he will have too much to complain about. So Spengler, next up, it's going to be Antonio Felix da Costa. And I suspect he won't stay as long behind Antonio Felix da Costa as he did Mike Rockefeller, and sure enough, he goes through with comparative ease. Turn 13 is next up. Then he will be on the back of Timo Glock, where I suspect once again he won't find too much resistance to an overtake manoeuvre. But great to watch Maxime Martin, who of course is now on terms with Mike Rockefeller. Maxime Martin there. Mike Rockefeller right ahead of him now. Maxime Martin will want to dispose of Mike Rockefeller perhaps a little bit quicker than Bruno Spengler did as we watch them into turn 1 now. Spengler not quite on Timo Glock yet. Is Maxime Martin going to have a go up the inside? No, he's not. But Rocky runs wide. And is that going to gift a chance to Maxime Martin? Martin now just into turn 3, was going up the inside there, but we cross back to Timo Glock, who, of course, has seen Bruno Spengler pass him. So Martin then did get ahead of Rocky, and now Adrian Tombe is behind Mike Rockefeller. Rocky's hopes of a reasonable finish taking a nosedive here, as he is passed by Adrian Tombe, and that's Nico Muller in there as well, and Muller goes through as well, and Rocky takes to the escape road. There is Timo Glock, but there is the man that is absolutely on a mission. Bruno Spengler in the BMW Bank car here at the Hungaroring, and also on a mission is Maxime Martin, who gets past Antonio Felix da Costa. There is Bruno Spengler around turn 13, heading uphill now to turn 14 as the laps are counting down here as the DTM returns to the Hungaroring. Bruno Spengler passes the start-finish line. Now Maxime Martin has ahead of him Timo Glock. So there, Spengler goes through, and Martin, well, overtakes Timo Glock. Just saw a shot of the really, really dark clouds now here at the Hungaroring. But those that have been doing a rain dance, well, if it does come, it will have come much too late in the race for them. So Antonio Felix da Costa. But now coming under some pressure is Timo Glock. Look at Adrian Tombe all over the back of Timo Glock as they run up this uphill section here. There is Timo Glock. There is Adrian Tombe in the Playboy Audi. And in the closing stages of this race is... oh, and Tombe's back end stepped out, but he managed to control it. He's lost just a little bit of time, though, against Timo Glock. But now he goes through in a place where you really shouldn't overtake. There's nothing between them, as Glock once again gets his elbow stuck out, but Tombe has gone through. Brilliant move from Adrian Tombe. If a bit physical between them as Antonio Felix da Costa runs wide. Wow, so much excitement. There is Bruno Spengler. Maxime Martin not done yet either. This is Maxime Martin then, who's got the Audi in his target sights. Can Maxime Martin do it in the closing stages of this race around turn 13? heading uphill now towards turn 14. Then it is the traditional place where you can overtake here at the Hungaroring, and that is the start-finish straight, which goes uphill, then over the crest, then downhill and into that right hand. That's where Maxime Martin will trying now to line up the Audi ahead of him. The Audi moves to the inside to cross that line. We're on the last lap. Can Maxime Martin do something on the switchback here? But he's going to have to defend from Adrian Tombe as well, who is right behind him. So Mortara doing everything he can to fend off the hard-charging Maxime Martin. Nico Muller has gone round. I thought I saw right at the back of the shock some contact between Muller and Timo Glock. Bits all over the track there. As this continues, Adrian Tombe is in that mix as well. So what can Maxime Martin do to defend now? He's having to switch tactics and defend now. But, well, we've hardly seen this guy over the closing stages. It's Marco Wittmann, the race leader, who is heading towards checkered flag in the Ice Watch BMW. What a race he has driven, Marco Wittmann. And now, just a few turns before victory will become Marco Wittmann's. He heads up to the final turn 14, and then the checkered flag will await him. Here in Budapest at the Hungaroring, Marco Wittmann takes the DTM win. And just look at the margin he has and locks up in front of his team. Miguel Molina takes P2. And then Bruno Spengler, his hard-charging efforts in effectively part 2 of the race are going to secure the BMW Bank driver a podium place at the Hungaroring. And there the Deutsche Post colours of Timo Glock as they still keep racing to the line here at the Hungaroring. Well, celebrations all round for Team BMW, and Verena Wright is down there doing a great job for us with Jens Marquardt.
I'm here with a very happy Jens Marquardt. We're right here where the action is. It's really loud, but first of all, congratulations to a victory. We've got a first and a third place.
Well, super result for us, really, Marco. From the top, really a very, very strong race. Behind, I have to say, I'm really disappointed the way some guys behaved here. This was not proper racing, this was improper, and this needs to be looked into. But I'm super happy for Bruno, because this in the end helped him to catch up. But this shouldn't be racing, we should be racing properly. So yeah, happy on one side, super happy, but in some respects also not so.
Well, the race classification here then, Marco Wittmann's triumph prompts huge celebrations for BMW. Audi delighted with an excellent runners-up spot for Miguel Molina. And Bruno Spengler crowns a thrilling game of catch-up with third. Robert Wickens, the best Mercedes driver, in 12th. But it's another disastrous overall result for the Stuttgart constructor. Just like the season opener in Hockenheim, Mercedes fails to score points. So the graphics in full for you there, and we lost Vittoris Farfus-Scheider and Paffett, of course, very, very early on in the race. Out of camera range, Bruno Spengler did overtake Edo Mortara 3 laps from home. However, the role of tragic hero unquestionably must go to Timo Glock, who finally dropped out of contention after this collision with Nico Muller on the last lap. Glock just about managing to limp the car back to the pits. He's certainly been involved in some contacts, and you can see the impact there in replay. Let's see it from a different camera angle here. It's the back end out just a bit, and then the two of them clattering together. And there we can see it again from an onboard camera there. Well, I would think that Timo Glock will feel that he's been the victim of some rough treatment here at the Hungaroring, especially in the fight with Edo Mortara. And wonder what the former Formula One driver had to say about those skirmishes earlier on in the race.
It was a bit over the top, I think, and I think maybe his brain is not switched on when he drives, I don't know. Or it gets too hot for him in the car, I'm not sure, but yeah, he pushed me twice wide of the track. We got a 2-second penalty, and he kept his car on the racing line and forced me to go on the outside, pushed me to the outside twice, opened the steering, drove into my car. So I had no chance to pass him, and unfortunately, therefore we lost a lot of points today.
Well, emotions at the opposite end of the spectrum for Marco Wittmann in his second season in the DTM. The BMW hopeful goes to the top of the drivers' standings. Certainly something to celebrate. He's with Verena now.
Congratulations, you certainly did a perfect race. No mistakes, no nothing, you were just on a fly. How does it feel after such a perfect race?
Yeah, actually really great. As I said yesterday already, the key will be the start of the race. It was close to Timo, but I was still on the better side in front of him. And from then onwards I tried to make a gap, tried to get out of the DRS window, which worked well. And then it was important, if we change to the prime tires, to stay focused, do no mistakes, and hold the gap. And finally that's what happened, and it's just a great result. P1, second win in the season, it's just unbelievable.
Oh yes, we've seen an outstanding drive from Marco Wittmann, and he's very happy about it indeed. Let's not forget about Miguel Molina then. His flawless drive is rewarded with a second place position.
Miguel, congratulations to second place. You were really fighting and pushing really hard. Are you glad?
Yeah, actually it was a good fight. The car was really good. We finished P2. It's a good result for the championship. After two quite difficult starts in the season, I think we all deserve this podium, and for sure we'll fight for the victory next time.
Good to see him smiling. A perfectly executed tyre strategy, and of course brave overtaking through to the finish. Well, they earned Bruno Spengler his first podium finish of the season. And let's catch up with Bruno Spengler.
Congratulations from P9 to P3. You really are a fighter.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm very happy. I mean, yesterday was a tough day, you know. We did not have the qualifying we hoped for. We struggled with the car. My team did everything they could, but we just struggle. You know, you don't hit the window all the time. It's such a tough series. And today, I mean, in the race, especially on the second stint with the option tires, the car was so good. I mean, it was flying. It was like an airplane. My car was really fast. So I enjoyed, you know, from lap 1 on the option tires to the very last lap, I enjoyed. I was catching up. Could push like I wanted. Great strategy for my team. My guys did an amazing pit stop. Was very fast, so thank you to Team Schnitzer, to BMW, and it's great, you know, 2 BMWs on the podium today. It's really nice.
The Drivers' Championship after 3 races then. Marco Wittmann has won 2 of the 3 races so far and leads from Mike Rockenfeller, who comes away from Budapest with just a single point. Courtesy of his victory in the Oschersleben Rain, Christian Vittoris is the best of the Mercedes drivers.
Well, we certainly saw a very physical race here at the Hungaroring, but we also saw motorsport at its best. Some say it's bad driving, but we thought it was really exciting with Marco Wittmann taking his second victory in this young season. A lot of overtaking there we saw as well. And one thing's for sure, Norrisring at the end of June is also going to be really exciting, so you don't want to miss it. See you then. Bye-bye.